A place for recreation, a place where neighborliness can grow over a cooking lesson, a stimulating game of chess, or even a vigorous workout. A place to make friends. The community centre has come a long way since the Prime Minister first opened the Minto Road Community Centre on the 9th of January 1960. Let this community centre, Mr. Lee said, become a place for relaxation for yourselves and your sons and daughters. Let it be a meeting place where you can get to know your neighbours better and where communal barriers are broken down. This marked a change for the 28 community centres already existing in Singapore. First set up in the late 1940s, they began as food centres which provided relief to a starving population. Later, their services were expanded and they provided recreational as well as educational facilities. When the PAP government took office in 1959, community centres took on a new role, bringing the different races together. And in July 1960, under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister, the People's Association was formed. All existing community centres were brought under his charge, and new ones were being opened, often with much fanfare. And for the community centre leaders, it meant persuasion on their part to draw the crowds to the centres.
Saya melawat ke rumah-rumah, memberitahu bahawa Balai Rakyat Minto Road akan mengadakan kelas-kelas bergerakan seperti potong baju, sulam, dan pada tiap-tiap hari Sabtu kita ada tayangan wayang gambar untuk seluruh penduduk di sini.
Coaching lessons by badminton master Wong Peng Soon proved to be a crowd puller. So were other recreational activities such as basketball. And for the ladies, cooking and embroidery classes were favourites. Soon, community centres became a bustle of activity. They were places where neighbours could mix and interact with ease. In 1961, however, a strike by pro-communist elements disrupted community centre activities. The strikers put up anti-government banners and closed down various centres. New people had to be brought in to replace them. Only then did community centres return to their normal state of affairs. In the early years, the training of community centre leaders was considered important. They underwent physical training so that they would be fit to carry out their duties. They were also briefed by government ministers on the priorities and needs of the nation and taught how best to relate to the communities they were serving.
Our leadership training courses was conducted by the Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew himself, Dr. Goh Keng Swee, Mr. S. Rajaratnam, and other ministers. They explained to us the government thinking, their policies and directions.
Community centres had one strong advantage: closeness to the grassroots. This was important at a time when the government wanted to reach the masses, to explain to them policies such as merger with Malaysia. They were a bridge between the government and the people.
Bagaimana sekarang? Dulu juga kita maklum balas ya. Kita mendapatkan cadangan ataupun dengar sana sini, desas-desus sini kata orang ramai lagi gini, kenapa perintah tidak begitu gini. Semua ini ya kita laporkan kepada Persatuan Rakyat. Itu adalah menjadi tugas Persatuan Rakyat untuk memberikan maklum informasi kepada pemerintah. Jadi dengan cara itu saya ingat pemerintah boleh menyesuaikan apa yang kehendak rakyat dan apa yang harus dibuat.
Soon, many more community centres were built, mushrooming all over Singapore, reaching out to the outermost rural villages. They were service-oriented, providing inoculation for farm animals such as chickens. They also housed the mobile van of the National Library, where books and other reading materials were made accessible to rural folks. Visiting teams of doctors at the community centres brought medical advice nearer the homes of the villagers. And for the young, kindergarten classes were conducted, where they learned how to read and write under teachers who also took time to visit them at home. Today, in the older rural community centres, there isn't much activity anymore. This stands in sharp contrast with the modern community centre. It's a reflection of changing needs. The population has become more sophisticated and new activities have replaced badminton and table tennis. One thing, however, remains unchanged. Community centres are still thriving.